Happy birthday, Eve.
That's him. That's your father's voice.
Dad, is that you? Is it really you?
It's me, birthday girl.
There was this 80s sitcom where a teenage girl discovered her missing father was actually an alien living on another planet. His way of staying in touch? A glowing plastic cube that gave parenting advice from space. Out of This World ran for 4 seasons, featuring Burt Reynolds as a disembodied voice and a half-alien teenager with supernatural abilities she'd constantly misuse in the most teenage ways possible. The show ran from 1987 to 1991 with special effects that looked like a science fair project and a premise that only worked if you were watching on a lazy Saturday morning.
Will I ever see you? Ever?
I'm working on it, Eve. Believe me, I'm trying very, very hard.
The mom couldn't even hear the alien dad. Only the daughter could, turning every family argument into cosmic dysfunction filtered through a 13-year-old. This wasn't groundbreaking television. It was just weird enough to survive when better shows got cancelled. Love retro TV and nostalgic deep dives? You've found the right channel. We dig into the untold stories from the golden age that gave us the best television ever made. Hit like and subscribe, and let's dive in.
You actually kissed him?
Well, of course I kissed him. I love him.
Then I'm half creature! Ah!
Now you might be wondering, how does a show this strange even get made? Out of This World premiered in 1987, created by Bob Booker and John Bonney during an era when TV networks seemed willing to try anything. The show followed Evie Garland, played by Maureen Flanagan, who discovers on her 13th birthday that she's half alien, because apparently puberty, pimples, and awkward crushes weren't challenging enough. Along with typical teenage problems,
Evie, what's the matter?
her most iconic power was the ability to freeze and unfreeze time by touching her fingertips together to stop it, and clapping her hands to restart it. Her long-lost alien father Troy starts beaming parenting advice from his home planet Antareus through a glowing crystal cube. Meanwhile, Evie's mom Donna, played by Donna Pescow of Saturday Night Fever fame, finds herself raising a teenager with supernatural abilities while trying to maintain some semblance of normal suburban life. Here's where it gets strange. While Donna knew Troy communicated through the cube, she couldn't hear him or talk to him directly. Only Evie could. Donna was essentially co-parenting with someone she couldn't even argue with face-to-face, forced to relay messages through their teenage daughter like the world's worst game of telephone. Evie's powers extended beyond just freezing time. She could materialize objects from thin air through gleeping, yes, that was the actual term they used, and eventually gained the ability to teleport. She could even selectively unfreeze specific people while time remained stopped for everyone else. Nothing like giving a teenager an entire arsenal of supernatural abilities when you're trying to establish basic household rules.
You don't like it? Well, you probably won't want these 4 tickets to the Phil Collins concert either.
All right, thanks!
As for the cast, featured genuinely talented performers working with some deeply weird material. Maureen Flanagan brought Evie to life with a perfect balance of wide-eyed innocence and teenage exasperation. No small feat when half your scenes involved talking to a glowing plastic cube. Just 13 when the show began, Flanagan carried the series, reacting to special effects that wouldn't actually exist until post-production.
Stories about Troy.
When are you going to tell her about her father?
When I have to. So far, I don't have to.
Donna Pescow played Evie's mother, also named Donna, in what feels like a casting decision made purely for convenience. Her character ran both the household and the school for gifted children that Evie attended, making her simultaneously mom and principal, a double authority figure that even superpowers couldn't escape. During season 2, Pescow became pregnant in real life, creating a significant continuity problem for a character whose husband was supposedly light years away on another planet. The production team employed every classic sitcom trick: strategic close-ups, baggy clothes, and hiding her behind increasingly large props and furniture. Nothing says creative problem-solving like having an actress hold suspiciously oversized grocery bags for 10 consecutive episodes. Joe Alasky played Uncle Beano Frizzle, Donna's goofy brother, who provided comic relief with his physical comedy and half-baked schemes. As Evie's bumbling uncle, he was the kind of adult who'd encourage using alien powers to score concert tickets while Mum wasn't watching.
Hey, guys. A 7 trillion mile call, but he didn't tell us how to unfreeze everybody at once.
He was also the only other character besides Donna who knew about Evie's alien heritage, making him both comic relief and confidant. Doug McClure played Mayor Kyle Applegate, a former Hollywood actor turned small-town politician whose character seemed to lose IQ points with each passing season. What started as a slightly dim-witted local official gradually morphed into a full cartoon character, the kind of person who'd lose a debate with a houseplant. Then there's the show's most famous cast member, whose face never appeared on screen. The voice of Evie's alien father Troy came from Burt Reynolds. Yes, that Burt Reynolds, one of the biggest movie stars of the era. Reynolds insisted his name be left out of the credits, recording all his lines as a personal favor to series co-creator Bob Booker. He reportedly knocked out an entire season's worth of paternal advice in a single recording session, proving that even A-list stars sometimes literally phone it in. So how did a show with an absentee celebrity dad and a bonkers premise actually make it onto television? Network struggles and surprising success. Out of This World started with a weird origin story that matched its premise. The show originally aired as part of NBC's ill-fated Prime Time Begins at 7:30 experiment, a desperate attempt to fill the half-hour before prime time with sitcoms nobody really asked for. Most shows in this lineup crashed and burned spectacularly, but Out of This World somehow survived.
I had this urge to put my fingers together.
Oh, okay. Well, show me what you did, because that may be the
Mom?
key to it all.
The show moved to weekend syndication, where it discovered its actual audience: kids and teenagers with nothing better to do on lazy Saturday afternoons. This was the pre-internet era when your entertainment options were limited to whatever was actually on television or helping your parents with yard work. Critics absolutely demolished the show. One particularly harsh review called it quite possibly the worst sitcom ever made. Yet, despite the critical roasting, Out of This World ran for 96 episodes across 4 seasons. That's the power of a captive tween audience who didn't care about production values or narrative coherence. They just wanted to see someone stop time and teleport away from embarrassing situations. Which raises the question, if the show was that bad, why did so many recognizable faces agree to appear on it?
Here's the hand that held the phone. Want to touch it?
Don't be a diz.
But I am a diz, so are you.
Guest stars and supporting characters. For a low-budget syndicated show about a half-alien teenager, Out of This World managed to attract a surprisingly impressive roster of guest stars. The list included Scott Baio, Fred Willard, Richard Moll, Norman Fell, Ruth Buzzy, and David Doyle, a mix of classic TV faces and comedic legends who lent their talents to this quirky sci-fi sitcom. Tom Bosley, America's favorite TV dad from Happy Days, showed up as Troy's father, Zelig. If you're casting the grandfather of a half-alien girl with time-freezing powers, why not pick a TV icon known for dispensing wholesome Midwestern wisdom? While the regular supporting cast ranged from mildly quirky to completely bonkers. Christina Nigra played Lindsay Selkirk, Evie's boy-crazy best friend who somehow never noticed her. BFF could freeze time and summon objects from thin air despite countless close calls.
You mean like a teenager? I knew you'd be okay. Is this the same sketch?
Uh-huh, it's finished.
Either she was the least observant friend in television history, or Evie's powers included making people conveniently forget obvious supernatural events. Steve Burton played Chris Fuller, Evie's on-again, off-again boyfriend who worked at a fast food joint called Chicken in a Basket, a name that sounds less like a restaurant and more like something you'd yell when dropping takeout on your way to the car. The real dropped chicken, though, was the show's attempt at visual effects.
What's an Enoch?
Oh, well, you better ask your mom.
If there's one thing that defined 80s sci-fi television, it was the art of creating special effects with budgets that wouldn't cover a decent pizza party. Evie's time-stopping power, the show's signature effect, was achieved through sophisticated Hollywood magic. Actors simply froze in place while the camera kept rolling, then Maureen Flanagan walked around the motionless set. Add a cartoonish sound effect, and voila, instant time manipulation. James Cameron was definitely not losing sleep over the competition. The opening credits featured Evie doing freeze-frame poses mixed with space footage borrowed from Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Why create new space shots when perfectly good stock footage was gathering dust in the vault? Troy's glowing communication cube was essentially a plastic box with a light bulb inside, spouting Burt Reynolds' disembodied voice through a cheap echo effect. Imagine if Siri was designed by someone whose entire technological experience was changing batteries in a flashlight. But here's the thing, kids absolutely loved it. The simplicity made these effects feel achievable, leading to countless playground attempts at stopping time by touching index fingers together. We laugh now, but back then, we were convinced we just needed more practice. There was something genuinely magical about effects simple enough that you could imagine recreating them yourself.
No, he's actually up there on another planet.
He's an astronaut?
Uh-huh, yes.
Even if reality crashed down after the 50th failed attempt to freeze your teacher mid-lecture. But those playground experiments were fueled by some truly wild episode premises. Out of This World produced some genuinely strange episodes that only made sense if you grew up in an era when gleeping was accepted in television terminology. Episode 10 of Season 1, titled Baby Talk, featured Evie getting her first babysitting job to take care of a baby named Neil. When she wishes she could understand why the baby is crying, she accidentally gleeps the baby, giving him the ability to talk. Imagine changing diapers while a 6-month-old critiques your parenting techniques. Troy naturally fixed everything by the episode's end, which was basically the plot template for the entire series. In Season 2, Episode 17, titled Too Many Evies, dealt with Evie, Lindsay, and Chris rebelling against new school uniforms. Needing to be in two places at once, Evie solved the problem by splitting into two versions of herself. This required the sophisticated special effect of split-screen technology and a stand-in filmed from behind. Cutting-edge wizardry if your cutting edge was safety scissors and a glue stick.
Mom, what's your problem?
Well, why don't you just try and see into the next room for me?
Then came the infamous series finale cliffhanger that still frustrates fans. After 4 seasons, the show ended with Troy finally returning to Earth, but only for 4 hours and only as a silhouette due to a teleportation glitch. When his time expired, Troy attempted to beam back to Antarius, but Donna accidentally got transported to the alien planet instead, leaving Troy stranded on Earth and Donna trapped in space. Roll credits. Series over. No resolution, no closure whatsoever. This wasn't the writer's fault. Like many shows of that era, Out of This World fell victim to sudden cancellation, leaving generations of viewers with a cosmic cliffhanger that never got resolved. This was before social media campaigns could save cancelled shows, so once networks pulled the plug, that was it. Talk about 80s TV heartbreak. It ranks right up there with every show yanked off the air before its time. But before we get too melancholy about what could have been, let's talk about one element that did survive all 4 seasons.
Would you like to swing on a star? Carry moonbeams home in a jar.
That bizarrely cheerful opening tune. Nothing says low-budget alien sitcom like repurposing a classic Hollywood tune. Out of This World used a modified version of Swinging on a Star, which won an Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1944 when Bing Crosby performed it in Going My Way. For the show's theme, producers jazzed up the melody and changed lyrics to fit the alien premise. The opening sequence featured snippets of how Evie's parents met, with Troy's face always strategically obscured, partly to maintain mystery, partly because they never actually cast an actor to physically portray him. The budget allowed for either Burt Reynolds' voice or showing his face. Pick one, and guess which option cost less. Ironically, this catchy borrowed tune is likely why you won't find the show streaming anywhere today. Clearing the music rights would cost more than studios expect to profit from releasing it. Just another cosmic joke in the Out of This World saga. And speaking of cosmic jokes, the show's production was full of bizarre choices that went way beyond budget constraints. The fictional town of Marlow, where the show took place, was supposedly located near Carmel and Monterey, California, though it was never actually filmed there. Instead, everything was shot on cheap soundstage sets that looked about as much like the California coast as a painted backdrop in a middle school play. When Evie gained her time-stopping powers, writers established a convenient rule. Whenever she used abilities for personal gain, her father would temporarily disable them as punishment. This served dual purposes, saving money on special effects while sneaking in moral lessons. Because if there's one thing 80s kids loved, it was being taught ethics by a glowing cube.
Everything is back to normal.
Yeah. You know, I wonder if I can do it again.
Evie eventually gained teleportation powers, likely added to keep the show feeling fresh or at least distract from the fact that writers had exhausted every possible time-stopping scenario. Once you've frozen every conceivable situation, why not add the ability to just disappear entirely? Ironically, that's basically what happened to the cast after cancellation. They teleported right out of the spotlight. After Out of This World ended, the cast moved on to various levels of success. Maureen Flanagan continued acting with appearances on Seventh Heaven and Star Trek Deep Space Nine before transitioning into documentary filmmaking, a career probably featuring fewer awkward freeze-frame effects. Donna Pescow maintained a steady TV career with roles on Even Stevens and The Sopranos. From disco dancing in Saturday Night Fever to hiding behind potted plants while pregnant on a sci-fi sitcom, that's what we call range. Joe Alasky became one of the most respected voice actors in the business, taking over iconic characters like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Tweety Bird after Mel Blanc's passing. Trading pratfalls for pitch-perfect cartoon impressions worked out extremely well for him. Doug McClure continued acting until his passing in 1995. One of his final roles was a cameo in the 1994 film Maverick, a fitting nod to his Western roots.
I'm your father.
Is this really from another planet?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, open it.
As for the voice of Troy, Burt Reynolds kept reinventing himself in films like Boogie Nights and The Longest Yard remake. He passed away in 2018. Leaving behind a legacy that included some of cinema's coolest car chases and, for better or worse, 4 seasons of intergalactic parenting advice delivered through a light-up paperweight. If that doesn't sum up the bizarre magic of late 80s television, nothing does. Out of This World represents a unique moment in television history when networks would greenlight virtually anything to fill time slots. Budgets were microscopic, and special effects were whatever you could accomplish by having actors stand very still. It was weird, cheap, and somehow charming in its complete lack of self-awareness. The show might not have been critically acclaimed, but it found its audience and maintained a devoted following throughout its run. For kids growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, it was comfort food television, predictable, slightly ridiculous, and perfectly suited for Saturday afternoon viewing when homework could wait. What's your favorite Out of This World memory? Did you spend recess trying to freeze time with your fingers? Let us know in the comments. And if you're into more forgotten sitcoms and retro deep dives, we've got an entire playlist because apparently this is how we're spending our time these days. Hit like and subscribe for more stories about the shows that shaped our childhoods. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.